Hi, I'm Dongxiang. Welcome to Digging into China, where we explore China in depth to reveal unique perspectives. Today, we are exploring a significant news story that has sparked widespread discussion in both the United States and China over the past week, and it continues to generate considerable attention on American social media. What is this story? It involves President Donald Trump, who, in a leaked audio recording, claimed he threatened to bomb Beijing and personally informed Chinese President Xi Jinping of this intention. Xi Jinping, in turn, responded to the claim. This revelation had stunned observers across various sectors, and it is indeed authentic. In today's video, we will examine the origins of this story, its implications, and engage in a thoughtful discussion about its significance. Let's begin by tracing the source of this development. How did we come to learn of Trump's claim about the threatening to bomb Beijing? The story originates from a Newsweek report titled, "Donald Trump Threatened Putin and Xi He Would Bomb Moscow Beijing Audio." According to the report, U.S. President Donald Trump stated that he separately warned the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Chinese President Xi Jinping that he would target their respective capitals with military action if either nation invaded the neighboring territories. This claim is supported by a recently released audio broadcast by CNN. The audio captures Trump speaking at a private fundraiser in 2024, where he recounted his conversations with Putin and Xi. The recording was obtained by journalists Josh Dorsey, Tyler Pager, and Isaac Onsdorf, who documented these exchanges in their book, 2024, How Trump Retook the White House and the Democrats Lost America. In the audio, Trump describes his discussions with Putin and Xi, asserting that, unlike former President Joe Biden, he would have prevented conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza had he been in office. He is heard saying, "I told Putin, if you invade Ukraine, I will have no choice but to bomb Moscow extensively." He responded, "I don't believe you," but in truth, he believed me at least 10%. Trump further stated, "Then, in a conversation with the President Xi of China, I said the same thing. I told him, if you move on Taiwan, I will have to bomb Beijing extensively." He thought I was out of my mind. He said, "Beijing? You are going to bomb Beijing?" I replied, "I have no choice. We will have to bomb Beijing." He didn't fully believe me either, estimating a 10% chance, but 10% is sufficient. Even 5% would have been enough. What was China's response to the public disclosure of this audio? Based on available information, there are two notable reactions. First, Newsweek contacted the Chinese embassy in the United States regarding the matter. The embassy's spokesperson Liu Pengyu informed Newsweek, "We are unaware of this issue." While they did not explicitly deny the claim, their official position is one of unawareness. Secondly, according to CNN, Chinese authorities imposed a nationwide internet blackout on news of Trump's threat to bomb Beijing. However, the Chinese government exercised precise control over the narrative, almost surgically managing public discourse. State-run outlets such as Beijing News and the left-leaning Observer Network were permitted to inform the Chinese public about Trump's threat to bomb Moscow. In the audio, Trump's remarks consist of two parts, one addressing the bombing of Moscow if Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine, and the other concerning the bombing of Beijing if China used force against Taiwan. CNN observed that China's censorship was meticulous, allowing only the Moscow-related threat to be reported to the public. This is a striking phenomenon. How did Russia respond to Trump's claim about the bombing Moscow? Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov addressed the issue directly, stating, "To my knowledge, Trump and Putin had numerous conversations, but there was never any mention of bombing Moscow." In contrast, China opted for suppression and declined to comment. This provocative news prompts a critical question. Does Trump genuinely possess the willingness and the resolve to defend Taiwan? The audio is unequivocal. Trump explicitly stated he would bomb Moscow and Beijing. American media has not questioned the authenticity of these remarks or accused Trump of fabrication. It is widely acknowledged that such bold statements align with his characteristic style. Since these comments were made during a fundraiser, he may or may not act on them. However, there is no dispute that these are Trump's own words, as the audio evidence confirms. We seek to answer this question. Does Trump truly have the intention and determination to protect Taiwan? Allow me to share my perspective. First, Trump has repeatedly expressed his commitment to defending Taiwan, a fact often overlooked by public discourse. During his first term, he issued threats to Xi Jinping, which were widely covered by mainstream media at the time. Yet, when analyzing Trump's stance on Taiwan, this history is frequently ignored. During his first term, journalists repeatedly asked him whether the U.S. would intervene if China invaded Taiwan. His direct response was, "If she dares to do that, he knows what I will do." In Trump's typical manner, this constitutes a clear threat. Second, regarding his fundamental position on defending Taiwan, Trump was once asked during an interview with American conservatives, "Would you be willing to go to war with China?" He responded, "Of course I would." Some online commentators argue that Trump, as a businessman, is prone to changing his stance. They suggest that his hardline rhetoric against China may be a tactic to garner votes or secure fundraising, as with his claim about bombing Beijing. Given Trump's current focus on trade wars and his eagerness to negotiate deals with China, some question whether he might tolerate a Chinese invasion of Taiwan or even use Taiwan as a bargaining chip in negotiations. However, a recent report from last weekend provides a further insight into Trump's stance on protecting Taiwan's sovereignty. The Financial Times reported that the Pentagon is pressing Japan and Australia to publicly clarify what roles they would play if the US and China entered into conflict over Taiwan. In March, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth visited Japan and urged them to assume specific responsibilities, such as defining their frontline roles in a potential U.S.-China conflict. Hegseth reiterated this view at a leadership summit in Hong Kong. And the Financial Times reported last weekend that he has continued to press Japan and Australia to make explicit commitments about their roles in such a scenario. The report cites sources stating that Elbridge Colby, the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Policy, has been advocating for this in recent discussions with Japanese and Australian defense officials. The Financial Times noted that this U.S. request caught Tokyo and Canberra by surprise, as the U.S. itself has not articulated a clear commitment to defending Taiwan, maintaining its policy of strategic ambiguity. Yet, behind closed doors, the U.S. is urging the Japanese and Australian militaries to develop a clear plan for their roles in a potential future conflict. When we consider this news alongside Trump's prior statements on Taiwan's sovereignty, my conclusion is clear. We should not doubt Trump's determination and commitment to defending Taiwan. While he is indeed a businessman, there is currently no evidence suggesting he would weaken his resolve to protect Taiwan or consider trading it away. No such indications exist. The second point I wish to share is that by reviewing Trump's actions toward Taiwan during and after his presidency, we can better appreciate why we should not underestimate his commitment or question his understanding of the Taiwan issue. Allow me to provide 5 examples. First, After his initial election, Trump took a call from Taiwan's President Ing-wen. Chinese propaganda suggested this was an impromptu, unauthorized move, claiming Trump was unaware of the implications. However, we should not overlook that after the call, Trump posted on Twitter, stating, "The president of Taiwan called me today to congratulate me on winning the presidency. Thank you." This language does not suggest someone caught off guard or merely responding reactively. By referring to her as the President of Taiwan and framing the call as a formal congratulation, he adhered to standard diplomatic protocol. In doing so, he broke decades of U.S. diplomatic tradition, demonstrating his willingness to challenge established boundaries. Second, in his first year in office, 2017, Trump approved the sale of unprecedented state-of-the-art U.S. air defense systems to Taiwan. He also advanced efforts to integrate Taiwan's radar system with the joint U.S.-Japan radar network. This is a significant development rarely covered by Chinese media. Effectively, Taiwan's intelligence system became part of the U.S. and Japan's intelligence framework, directly supporting Taiwan's military intelligence capabilities. That 2017 arms deal, valued at $1.4 billion, ranks among the largest under any U.S. president. In March 2018, Trump signed the Taiwan Travel Act, which permitted U.S. officials at all levels to visit Taiwan starting that month. Previously, officials above a certain rank were prohibited from such visits. This legislation enabled subsequent trips, such as Nancy Pelosi's, demonstrating that Trump has a nuanced understanding of Taiwan's importance. Another example. On December 31, 2018, Trump signed the Asia Reassurance Initiative Act, which formalized the 6 assurance to Taiwan, previously informal U.S. commitments, by incorporating them into U.S. law. When we examine these actions, it becomes evident that despite Trump's occasionally flamboyant rhetoric, he is steadfast on certain issues. The Financial Times report in particular deserves close attention from those following cross-strait dynamics. It represents a form of war preparation, not an indication of imminent conflict with China, but a clear step toward readiness. Thus, while the public may view Trump's claim about bombing Beijing as a political gossip, I believe neither Trump nor the Chinese government sees it as such. If China were dismissive, they would not have imposed a nationwide internet blackout or meticulously edited Trump's remarks to suppress the part about bombing Beijing while allowing discussion of the Moscow threat. Therefore, this latest revelation from American media about Trump's statements will profoundly influence U.S.-China relations. It will also compel Beijing to abandon any misconceptions that may have held about Trump's intentions. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit the subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my video to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, be well.